Hi, I'm Dr. Brad, who's going to go over the instructions so that you understand how we start and how to read these. So a couple things that are important to take note of. One, you won't be on supplements like this forever. There comes a day when people, what we call graduate, and once they graduate, typically they'll just be on a maintenance dose of foundational supplements. Those foundational supplements typically will include a multi, a good fish oil, a good source of calcium, and vitamin D, especially in the wintertime. Those are typically the foundational nutrients that there are. So most of your supplements are going to be best taken just a little bit at a time, pretty much to try and bathe the gut. A lot of them will be best with food, and we'll go over that in a little bit. The dosage, we use typical medical abbreviations for dosage. QD is once a day, BID is twice a day, TID is 3 times a day, QID is 4 times a day. It's important to look closely at what the dosage is. Sometimes people get mixed up with QD and QID, and the dosage is literally 4 times with QID than it is with QD. We commonly will use rectal flora. There's a reason why. Your gut's 30 feet long. From the mouth to the toilet, it's just about impossible to get enough in through the mouth to get down in the colon to do anything that's important. Your colon is critically important because the flora in the colon, it determines whether you're going to excrete your toxins or resorb them and recycle them. So that's whether the toxins you take in, the toxins you make, the byproducts of your hormones that are toxic, all that gets decided in your colon, and the colon health is critical for detoxification and everything else. So for that, we have to bring the flora in from the bottom up into the colon. We commonly will use a big catheter syringe, and the reason why we use these is the nipple part is really long. So for men, usually the simplest way to do it is you take the plunger, take the tip off, you pull the plunger all the way out, you open up the flora capsule and just open it up and trickle the contents of the capsule in the syringe as you're holding it about 45-degree angle. That way it all trickles down in there. Once you get it all in there, you can push the syringe back in, but don't push it all the way to the bottom because you compress it, it won't dissolve. Then you'll notice there's lines 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 60. We only need about 10 or 10 cc's of water in there. So from where it's at, you pull up about 10 cc's of water, stick your thumb over the end, shake it up to get it resolved really good. If you hold it upright like this, flick it a few times with a finger, it pops the bubbles, then you push the plunger up so the water level is all the way to the top, wet the nipple part of the syringe. One of the easiest ways to get this in is to squat and take the syringe and move it in slow, gentle circles like this. That way it finds right in the center, goes all the way up. When it's all the way in, push the plunger, that gets all the contents in. For women, commonly it's easier to take a small container, small jar, small little bowl. Baby food jars work really good. Dump your flora into here, add 10 cc's of water, then mix it up really good. Take the syringe, suck it up in there so you get all liquid inside. Do the same thing, lift it up vertically, flick it a few times to pop the bubbles, push the syringe, wet the nipple, squat, and put that in rectally. Then once that's done, take your finger, wipe it around on the inside to get some of the flora on that, and wipe that in vaginally. The reproductive tract of a woman has basically the same flora as her colon, and if you have a problem in one place, there's problems in the other. we might as well get everything to heal up so it quits cross-contaminating, and that way you can just be done with it and be real healthy. So some people get kind of squeamish. They don't want to really do rectal therapies. They want to try and avoid it. If you do, it takes a lot longer to heal. It costs way more, and it keeps you toxic for a lot longer, so it really makes things difficult. It's better just to realize it's a sick part that needs addressed and just get over it and do that therapy. So after that, we typically use a powder which has a lot of glutamine in it, L-glutamine or glutagenics. That's best to take the dose, mix it up in a large water bottle with a good clean drinking water, and mix it up and sip on that throughout the day. That helps heal up the gut wall, knock inflammation down, pulls toxins from peripheral tissues, brings them back into the liver so that we can detoxify. It helps fuel the liver for detoxification processes. That's best to just trickle that throughout the day. If you have to, do it in a couple doses. Do it in as many as you possibly can, but you're way better off just trickling that. Calcium, nothing in the body works without calcium. There's not one body function that doesn't require calcium in a fairly good supply to make it work. The liver also needs calcium along with oxygen and water to convert your proteins primarily into human form so you can actually use them. If they're not human form, they're toxic and they create all kinds of inflammatory issues along with autoimmune problems and things like that. Vitamin D is linked into virtually every body function that there is. That's a real critical one also. Zinc is a common coenzyme in almost every body function, and it will be really important to keep that up. Most of the stuff you can take along with food. A few things that are better off to do on an empty stomach, antimicrobials and antiparasitics. Those tend to be more caustic as far as the gut goes, and if people that have problems with spicy foods, then it may be necessary for them to do that with food also. Sometimes just a handful of oatmeal, chew it up, just dry oatmeal, chew it up really good and swallow that. Sometimes that's enough. For those with a real weak stomach, that'll have to be taken with food. As far as stomach acid aids, that needs to be taken before you eat. We use a few different things for that, but whenever you do that, take that before your first bite of food. It's easier to bring the pH of the stomach up and get that excited to start to produce than it is to fill it full of food and then try and bring the acid levels up. So, then as we start to look at some of the scripts that we have, you're going to have two different things on there. This is your prescription pad right here. You'll have the name of the supplements on this side, the dosage, QD, BID, TID are the most common dosages, or common frequency, and in this column will be the dosage in that. One of the critical points on the bottom of this is bowel habits. Bowel habits are regulated by fiber, and the best fiber is, believe it or not, it's vegetables. Vegetables would be first source, fruits would probably be second, beans would be third, grains are really the last best source. We need to have enough fiber in our diet to be able to have at least 2 bowel movements a day. Normal is 3 to 5. Forget if your normal was less than that. That's not normal for you. That's what makes you toxic, and that's what makes you sick. People that have normal bowel habits don't have gastrointestinal disease, and those people that don't have normal ones have all kinds of different problems. So our record was actually somebody who went once every 5 to 6 weeks. Their life changed when they started going 2 and more times a day. The record before that was once every 2 to 3 weeks. That person got giddy when their bowel habits turned to 3 times a day, and their health just totally turned around. The next thing that was going to be important is this is your food intolerance list right here. The food intolerance, they're listed in H for high, M for medium, L for low, and TR for trace. This is the reactivity. So something that's highly reactive is something you're really intolerant to. Something that's just a trace is pretty minor. The things that are trace are things that probably come back fairly soon. The things that are high are things that you might not ever get back at all. The critical way to look at this, or the easiest way, is to highlight the holes. Don't look at what you can't have. Look at what you can. Look at the positive side. Highlight the holes and eat the holes in your list. This is critically important. This is literally half of the healing that goes on with people. The people that hear this to this the most heal the fastest. Those who have cheat days all the time, they keep beating themselves up, that creates autoimmune responses, inflammatory reactions, and a whole host of toxicity responses that take a minimum of 10 days, oftentimes 3 to 5 weeks to calm down every time you eat something off this list. So stick to it. You heal way, way, way faster. So there's a few different foods that are important to note that are clean for most people. Good and Gather raw nuts and oatmeal, it's a Target brand, are extremely clean. Their nuts are the cleanest you can buy in our country. Cleaner than the Whole Foods stores, organic stores, and all that. Cocoa Rose rice is the cheapest. Their brown rice is the cheapest, cleanest source we've been able to find. That's a Cub Food brand in the Midwest. Other places in the country, it's pretty hard to find that. Lundberg is typically clean. You only want to do brown rice. You don't want to eat anything white anymore. If it's white, it doesn't have any nutrients left in it. Wild Harvested wild rice is typically green in color. The farmed is typically black. The Wild Harvested is clean. The farmed is not. Earth Balance olive oil butter substitute works really good for those who really like butter, the green label only. Bonito chips, the pinto and the black, are really good. If people have intolerances to any of the beans, white beans will be on the top of that list, and they should avoid the white ones. Be careful of that one. You'll know from your food intolerance list. Salada decaf green tea is really good green tea. Traditional medicinals is one of the cleanest teas out there consistently in all their flavors. Yogi would be a real close second as far as that goes. The other ones are not that good. In olive oil, Spectrum probably has the least amount of flavor and some of the highest quality with the highest heat flash point. Trader Joe's Extra Virgin is a close second at less than half the price of the Spectrum. So those are real important to keep note. We already talked about the bowel habits. We will ask about bowel habits quite a bit. It helps us monitor a lot as far as healing goes. As far as calorie intake goes, your BIA, if we're able to take one, we'll get a good reading on the calorie need. Otherwise, we'll test it another way. It's really important to eat enough calories. If you don't, it shuts your whole metabolism up, shuts your gut function down. You won't eliminate properly. You won't heal properly. Your cells' energy powerhouses, the mitochondria, be shut down by thyroid dysfunction. There's just a whole host of issues that are there. Even if you feel like you weigh too much or you don't like your body shape, that's usually because of hormonal dysfunction. If you starve yourself, you'll never be able to shed that weight. You have to eat a proper amount of calories. 1,200 calories is the absolute minimum for an adult. That's a fasting state, and you can't stay on that for very long. Fruits and veggies, most of those are good. We test citrus and nightshades because those are common reactive foods. Celery and cucumber are high incidence of food intolerance. Cottonseed meal is a hormone disruptor. Berry plants are commonly fed with that. A lot of your blueberry farms, organic blueberry farms, will use cottonseed meal. It makes their blueberries toxic. So be aware of that. You want to eat the rainbow. That gives you a whole host of antioxidants, bioflavonoids to keep you really healthy. EWG.org is a good resource to find clean foods. They got an app you can put on your phone, scan the barcode of different foods in stores. Last we looked, they had over 60,000 foods in there. The Dirty Dozen is the most herbicide, pesticide-laden foods in our stores. That includes strawberries, spinach, kale, nectarines, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, tomatoes, celery, and potatoes. Coffee is one of the most toxic crops on the earth. All those you should eat organically. In the Clean 15, I left a couple of these out because they're never clean, but that's avocado, pineapple, onion, papaya, frozen sweet peas, eggplant, asparagus, cauliflower, cantaloupe, broccoli, mushrooms, cabbage, honeydew melons, and kiwi. We commonly find in the brassic family, the broccoli family, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower is commonly not clean unless it's organic. Most of that throughout the country is grown in California, where the selenium and calcium levels are depleted in the soil. Without selenium and calcium, it makes those foods toxic. So be aware of that. You're better off with locally grown from farmer supply or farmer's market. Commonly, sweet corn and peas are almost never clean, even though it's really that. You only want to eat the low sugar fruits. We have listed in the back a list of sugar content fruits, so you know exactly what you're eating. It's good to keep that below 8. And as far as spices go, spices are full of antioxidants, antimicrobials. They're extremely healthy. They make food delicious, and they make your health very, very strong. So it's really good to keep up a wide array of those. Black pepper is one of the few ones that's just irritates the gut and causes malabsorption. That's not a good one to have, especially early in the program, because most people have major problems with leaky gut. So any foods that you have questions about, we can typically test those on the second or the third visit and get more complete view of what you have in your own cupboards and your own grocery stores. Commonly, people with major food intolerances, we have to test a lot of their foods to find some brands in their locality where they can eat and have clean food. So this should help. Everything's down in writing. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and get a hold of us. Thanks, and keep up the good work. You're off to a great start and a great journey in restoring health.